The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only.
So don't tell your parents!
Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. I'm your host JD, and with me here is my good bro Kyle.
Yo, it's me.
It sure is, and he's beautiful.
As always.
No, just today. You're pretty butt ugly most other days.
Yeah, I'll take that.
We've taken a week to process Adventure Time coming to an end after like 10-ish years. I actually don't
More like
know
9.
exactly. Yeah, sure. Something around there. And so yeah, we're gonna be talking about the big finale this week. And Kyle, I feel you and I are in the minority about how we feel about this.
Minority? I think we're in the majority from what I've read.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna preface this entire review by saying that Kyle and I, to varying degrees, did not care for this finale, but I feel like at least the day or two after it came out, my Twitter feed was mostly just like, oh my god, it was so great, and just look at this, it was so amazing, and it's like it was perfect the way it wrapped up, and I'm just like, did we watch the same thing? Like, I don't know.
Like, sure thing, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're happy with it, great. I personally was not, but then again, I checked out of Adventure Time years ago, so I mean, I didn't have a lot of investment in it to begin with.
I think you can throw lesbians at anybody and it'll be a masterpiece.
Lesbians make everything better.
Anyways.
So yeah, that Adventure Time finale, you gotta. So, I think I remember watching the last handful of episodes leading up to this, because I remember, Bubblegum's uncle and his weirdo family and his weirdo, whatever it is he does. So I remember that much, at least. So, like, I wasn't confused by that. I was super confused by the giant demon that comes out of the sky and is, like, the weird turning point of the plot halfway through. I don't know. Kyle, what's your beef with this?
I just felt it was super anticlimactic.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
I mean, wasn't this just 3 episodes put together?
It's 4.
Oh, well, the first episode was just a bunch of surreal nonsense bullshit that happened, and nothing really made sense. And
like, what the? Why is there just like a bunny and whatever future Lady Jake is supposed to be?
that was just like a framing device, and that was.
I got it, but it's like, why is that there? Why does that need to be there? Why am I being introduced to these characters that at the last moment that won't mean anything?
Well, I want to say that the female one was probably one of his like great descendants.
I mean, probably.
And they're buddies. Who knows? It's one of those things where it's just a bunch of time had passed. I think they said 1,000 years. And even
Something
in
like
that
that.
in that little redone intro, it's one of those things you have to freeze frame, but you can see
Mhm.
there's Finn's grave is there.
Grr. Okay.
Yeah, it says like Finn Jenkins or something like that.
His
I don't
last
know.
name is Mertens.
I think it. Yeah, probably.
And Bill Dotrieve is his dad.
I remember, but I think you do see his grave, and it's like shattered or something dumb like that.
Okay.
But the first episode was very like nothing happened, very surreal bullshit, and I think that's my problem with this show as a general. You have this show that's trying to be a comedy, but then it's trying to be heavy too, and I don't feel like that mixes well. Like there's
Well,
not a great mix.
I think it was at the start a very just kind of surreal comedy, but over time it just became this weird let's dive into philosophical bullshit, and it just got weird for the sake of being weird.
And
That's probably about when I checked out.
yeah, that's kind of my beef with the show is that you have this show that started off as a straight comedy because I've watched the pilot, I've watched a couple of the episodes from the first season just recently, and it's like, yeah, it was a very charming, cute show. I liked it a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just feels like it got after Penn left, it just got too big for its britches, and I just don't like anything that happened without Penn.
Yeah. And they just kept doing all this world building, and I feel like every time they were getting close to maybe answering something, it just gives a million more questions.
And
Like,
it ends with a million questions still being asked because they were like,
yeah.
well, what happened to the dad? I've read a
Yeah.
bunch of questions, and there is a bunch of stuff that wasn't wrapped up, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Jake being a weird space shapeshifter was kind of explained, but I still feel like that was really unsatisfying. And I guess like there's characters that you haven't seen in like seasons that just show up here, like the Duke of Nuts, who hasn't been seen since season 1, is just here now. And just all kinds of stuff's going on, and I guess everyone just joins forces. And I don't know if it was a thing, and if you in the comments are more up to date on Adventure Time lore, at what point did Bubblegum's Uncle Man gather up all the Adventure Time villains and to join his army? Like, I don't remember that being a thing.
I don't remember Fern being a bad guy.
I remember Fern being a bad guy, because that happened this last season where he kind of went nutso and had weird crisis.
Oh, what I was saying is that I don't really like how the show comes off as a comedy and then it tries to get heavy because I can't take it seriously. So
They can't be a dramedy.
yeah, so like this whole thing where they go into their mind or whatever,
Oh my god.
the whole dream world, it's all
Mhm.
played surreal and like, look, there's a dancing poodle, ain't that weird? And stuff like this. And then something with Fern and Finn where they open up their mind. And then they go into Fern's mind, and then he's like, oh man, it's the alien that's controlling you.
Okay, that's another thing that, like, I don't, if that was a thing that was hinted at or partially explained in a previous episode, I don't remember that at all, because they're
That
like,
was-
oh hey, there's this demon or whatever that like lives inside of you and makes you an evil asshole.
That was explained. It was the first thing with the sword, I thought.
I don't remember. Dude, this show's been going on for 10 years, and like at least 3 of those I kind of checked out of. So I mean, I'm running on very little information here.
I checked out way longer ago than you, but
I know
for the stupid squid thing. But he's like, "Yeah, without me, you won't have a body," and then he's instantly killed. Like, played as a joke, but still played heavy. And then that was the whole thing.
And then Fern eventually dies.
Yeah, but that's one of those things where it's just like, oh, haha, isn't that funny? I killed him when he was monologuing.
Yeah.
So there's no weight to that. It's just like, oh, okay, that happened.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I feel like that's just kind of how this whole, this whole finale felt. It's just like, everything happens, it comes to an end, and there's no real you don't feel any consequence to it, or like it's gonna have any like lasting effect, or really much of anything.
Just feels like there's no weight to the situation, because the whole demon, the Gloab thing, which I also don't understand, because there's Glob and then there's Golab. I'm guessing I'm guessing that's 2 sides of a coin or something.
Something like that.
But you have this like demon monster baby, and it's very tiny as far as like a end of the world thing. And it's so tiny that the people on the other side of the planet would not see it. It's very tiny.
I mean, it's kind of centralized to one location, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't know. And then what did it do? It just breathed air and made monsters.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like this gigantic threat of like, oh shit, the characters are telling you, oh, this is a really big threat, but it didn't feel like a big threat, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's true. I felt more threat from the monsters it made than I did from the demon.
Yeah, and those things were busting up shit, but it still didn't feel threatening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where I'm saying it doesn't feel like there was weight to any of these situations.
Yeah.
Like, it destroyed their house, okay. And that was it.
And then they just make a new one later.
Yeah, but, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
of course, I feel like a lot of this ending was just like, let's just give the fans what they want, like in terms of like, here's the happy ending.
Well, my other big problem too with this was that the main character Finn feels like he was sidelined most of the episode.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too.
It feels like basically the whole ending was more focused on Princess Bubblegum.
Yeah, I mean, Finn kind of does he goes into the dream world and does all that, and then he's with Ice King and his girlfriend inside the demon. But yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of the bigger moments, Finn's kind of sidelined a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know. I was reading that, what is it, the guy Muto or whatever made him a pacifist in the thing, and just feels completely against his character from the first season. It's like, I understand that characters aren't going to be the same from different seasons, but it's just that weird thing where you have a show like Gravity Falls where it's beginning, middle, end. The guy was there for everything. He had a vision on it. Perfect. With something like Adventure Time, it feels like The Simpsons, where it just kept going and people were like, all right, fuck it. It ends up being like a whole fan fiction thing, in a sense, where after the original vision of it, it just feels dumb to me. It doesn't feel like what it should have been.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch the first few seasons of Adventure Time and compare it to the last few seasons, they're 2 completely different shows.
Yeah.
I mean, they got the same characters and the same actors and all that, but like tone-wise and story-wise, they couldn't be any different.
Like, I'm pretty sure the whole thing with the Ice King and the cursed helmet and all this stuff was not planned at all from the pitch.
Yeah, I have no idea what Penn Ward originally had planned, like in terms of plot, but yeah, it seemed like around the time that he left is when they started like, all right, we're gonna get real lore heavy now and start hinting at stuff and like building. There's no problem with world building. It's just I think the way Adventure Time went about it is that they started throwing a lot of questions, giving very little answers, and a lot of the episodes just felt like they were being weird for the sake of being weird.
I kind of feel like maybe their first Emmy, they were probably like, oh shit, we should try this next.
Mm-hmm.
And it became a thing where they were trying really hard to maybe get the Emmy. Let's be like really heavy and talk about gender issues and stuff like this. And it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing where Finn is a pacifist now. Or like Princess Bubblegum is a lesbian. It kind of feels like a writer going like, oh, well, you know, it's very cliche for the hero to want the girl, so maybe we should do it like this.
Yeah.
Maybe a hero being macho, maybe that's toxic masculinity. Let's make him like this. That's kind of how it feels in a modern age.
And I'm not opposed to that kind of stuff being introduced.
That stuff like that made me mentally check out, though. It was just like, all right, I'm done. I don't want to sound like it or not, but I don't want politics like that shoved in a cartoon, and I don't want I don't know, stuff like that. It just feels really ham-fisted.
Sure.
So yes,
I don't know. I never got too invested in that kind of stuff, and when it happened, and I'm like, all right, whatever. But I mean, at that point, I was just kind of so exhausted with Adventure Time. But I don't know. Like I said, when they started getting like real heavy into things, it's kind of when I checked out. But Mel and I would pop in periodically. Mostly when Tumblr or Twitter told us that something big happened. So, I mean, we watched the mini-series that they've been putting out. I think we even reviewed the one where Finn finds the island of humans.
We
I think it was earlier this year, actually.
We did the island, but we didn't do the stakes one.
Yeah, we didn't do stakes, did we? Which,
Nope.
I'll be honest, stakes was a whole lot of, this happened and has no consequence at the end of it. It literally returns to square one by the end of it.
So was stakes something where Finn was also sidelined and it was...
I honestly don't remember. All I remember is that it's basically a movie about Marceline where it's like, hey, by the way, there's this league of evil vampires that are back to life and we have to go fight them, and yeah. I don't know, it's been a while since I watched it. So
the other thing too, which is weird about cartoons like this, it's just, do you think the recommended demographic watched this? Or do you think it was more towards an older crowd?
See, and that's the thing. I feel like with the way the internet is now, I'm almost feeling like target demographics are harder to pin down. Like when this came, even when Adventure Time came out, and like how weird it was, but like silly weird, not like existential weird. I still don't think that, like, you know, the 7 to 10 age range was what Adventure Time was really made for. Like, Adventure Time was made for stoners, let's be honest. Just weird shit to get high to.
I would say regular show was.
Regular
You
show
know,
definitely was.
I feel the same way of those memes that they show where it's like Pokemon and Call of Duty, target demographic, college kids. Who's
Mhm.
actually playing it? Well, the kids are playing Call of Duty, college kids playing Pokemon.
It's
I feel
true.
like that's kind of what was going on with this too.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of shows like that are getting that way where it's like they're intended for children, but their viewer base ends up being an older crowd, which
Steven Universe is like
I mean, I guess that's kind of good for them because those people are going to buy your merchandise.
yeah.
So I guess that's nice, but yeah, I don't know, man. Adventure Time just got real weird, and
I felt it got a little too preachy, and I bounced out.
yeah,
But
I feel that.
I mean, after watching this finale, it was just like meh. There was no weight to it. There was no like shit hits the fan or something like that. It just didn't feel like anything. There was no weight to it. There was no why should I care about this? It felt like a normal episode.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like, cause like I said, most of the people that I saw reacting to this were like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best finale ever," and like it gave me everything I wanted. Honestly, after we finished watching it, I was just left with a feeling. I'm like, huh, okay, I guess Adventure Time's over now. Cool.
Just seeing nothing but 4chan saying like who had the better finale. And they're like Chowder. They just like start naming all these cartoons that recently had finales.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree. Like Chowder had a better one.
What was Chowder's ending? I don't remember.
He grew up.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. Melanie was gonna be on this, but we were recording too late. That was a thing she was wanting to see. Is she wanted to see, like Finn and everybody else older, as an ending.
Well, that's the thing. Remember the Pillow episode where he goes and has like an entire life in the Pillow episode? That felt a bit more like a finale to me than this did.
Yeah. Yeah, because like the ending of this is basically just like everybody gets a happy ending, like, and all these like little side characters, like here's what ended up to them, and most of the time it's just kind of really random.
And it plays the end song, which is great. It's nice to hear a full thing, but this is just watching it and I'm like, oh, there's Flame Princess. That's cool. Did I really need to know what her life was?
Yeah. Or like a lot of people were like the weird juice jiggler thing. I guess he's a businessman now or something. I
Yeah.
haven't seen him in like 7 seasons or whatever, how long it's been.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
A big montage like that, sometimes it's great. Probably could bring a tear to your eye, but it's mostly just time filler.
It's there because it's like, oh, we're gonna cover every base, like every character that, you know, a fan might connect with. We're just gonna give them a little snippet of like, here's what happened to them, and it's just be something really random. And
it did feel like the old how Rare does the character parades at the end of their games. It felt like that, but I mean, a game you can make it as long as you fucking want. The show or something that was just time filler.
yeah, it definitely felt like we needed to fill a couple minutes at the end. And yeah, even like where everyone ends up at the end of the show, it's just like, okay, cool, I guess. I mean, I guess and that was even the kind of the cop out ending, because through this whole thing, BMO is the one telling the story of what happened, and then he just ends the story and like, well, what happened to everybody? And like, why does the story need to have an ending? Everyone went and lived their lives, and like, I mean, I get what you're getting at there, but
Yeah,
it's kind of an unsatisfying answer.
yeah, but that was the thing too. Is like BMO is the framing device for the episode, but how would he know what happened in the beginning or what happened in the dream world and all this stuff to actually be the narrator of the story? It's one of those things where it doesn't work.
I guess he could have been told these things, but who knows?
I know people just go, "Oh, well, you're over analyzing a kids cartoon." It's like, well, it's a fucking kids cartoon made by adults. It's not a good way to deflect criticism.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, right now I'm kind of at the point where I'm just like, I'm just glad Adventure Time's over. Honestly, I felt Adventure Time should have ended years ago.
I did too.
Before it got too weird and up its own ass. But I mean, I'm not sad, but I'm also not happy that it's ending. I'm just kind of indifferent to it being over now. I'm just like, okay, it's over. Great.
Well, that's the thing. I know I'm being overly negative about this, but I really did like this show at a point. I really loved it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And they were talking about actually making a theatrical movie. And I think that would have been a lot better way to end the series than what they did. I would have liked something a little more epic, a little more, something to have a little more weight than what this was. This just felt like a normal episode.
Yeah, and man, I'm totally with you there. Just, I mean, Adventure Time, especially when it came out, late high school, college time. I mean, this was a show that I kept up with every week and was always excited for whatever new episode was going to be put out, because this lived around the time that like regular show and
yeah, those were the two things that they were marketing, and those were like their two biggest guns, and that was great to see every week.
Yeah, and regular show, I mean, got a little, kind of got up its own ass a little bit too. But I mean, I think the ending they went with was a lot more satisfying than this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Adventure Time's over. It's an end of an era, I guess. But
maybe if we have that spot to fill still, we should just go and do finales. Talk about how different finales were.
Yeah, we should do an episode about just like cartoon finales, and
because people are talking about what was it? Wasn't Channel Chasers supposed to be the finale or some shit like that?
Yeah, I think for Fairly Odd Parents, I think that was supposed to be the ending, and then it went on for another like 7 seasons.
Ego Trip was a pretty good finale.
Yeah. How about when we make... Yeah, and then like Kim Possible had a pretty decent finale, and then they made another season after that because the internet complained enough.
Yeah. There was the Turtles one with the 2003 and the 87.
Oh yeah, that one was really... I liked that one.
I mean...
That was a good one.
When you talk about finales and stuff like this, and regular show just had one. There was the whole one with Flapjack where there was human actors and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they could have done it better.
Yeah, but what are you going to do now?
Go back in time and force them to make it better.
Sure. Well, Kyle, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
Nah, I'm good.
Alright, well, I'm sorry if anyone came into this review expecting us to throw praise at Adventure Time. I mean, it was a good show back in the day. It kind of got weird after a while, and then its ending is just... It's over.
It's a good way
it's
to
a
put
thing,
it.
I guess. But I'd be interested to hear everyone else's like how they feel about how this ending was for them. if it touched you on an emotional level.
think the only thing that was like emotional in a sense is something that 9 years ago is gonna ended.
Yeah. It's like this thing that's been on forever is over now.
It's kind of
No more New Adventure Time.
be like The Simpsons. I fucking hate The Simpsons now, but if it ended, you'd be like, oh, okay, that was kind of sad, I guess.
Yeah. What would you do if The Simpsons ever ended?
I wouldn't care.
Uh,
I would hope it would pave the way for something better.
like Disenchantment?
Oh yeah, that was amazing. All right, now that you bring up Disenchanted,
Oh god.
don't you think that little ending was a little bit better than Adventure Time? Didn't that have a little bit of weight to it? Where you're like, oh shit, the whole kingdom's made of stone now? How are they gonna get out of this? Or
Well, that's a
something like
cliffhanger ending versus a...
Well, I know, but
We're wrapping up an entire, like, nearly 10-year-long show.
didn't that just have a little bit better though? Where you're like, oh man,
I guess.
at least.
I don't know. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our half hour of ragging on Adventure Time. But next week, I think we're talking about BoJack Horseman, so hopefully that'll be a little more positive.
The sad horse gets
Sad
sad.
horse show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, guys. Well, thanks for listening, and I guess we'll catch you all next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.